Hello, everyone. My name is Randall, and I'd like to bring you a taste of marketing, which is actually a mixture of some marketing concepts and also a bit of consumer behavior. So this video is brought to you to try to raise some questions that you might not have thought about, and hopefully this will make you more interested in seeing the world from a marketing point of view, although you might argue it's different points of view as well. So by that, what I mean is I want to think about the concept of customer loyalty and also customer segmentation, because my view tends to be a little bit different from what I tend to hear people talk about or what they often write in books. So my example, since I said it's a taste of marketing, is to get you to think about what kinds of foods you eat. And by this I mean over time. So let's say maybe within 1 month. What kinds of foods do you eat? And there might be more, of course, right? So maybe you eat Indian food or Nepalese food or who knows? I don't know. I just threw out some examples there. So let's say within 1 month, what types of foods do you eat? Now, again, this depends a little bit on each person, and it also depends maybe on where you live in terms of what's popular, but I'm going to keep narrowing this down a bit, okay? So you can come up with your own list. What kinds of foods do you eat? And then how often do you eat them within 1 month? So let's try to put some numbers on there. Now, since my example is set in Thailand, I'm going to say majority of people eat Thai food the most. Um, And then maybe they eat pizza and burgers and fried chicken and a little bit of Chinese, a little bit of Italian, a little bit of Indian, whatever. But if we happen to be in the US, then maybe you'd say pizza, burgers, and fried chicken would go way up. You'd say junk food. I say, no, 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 that's American food. Here in Thailand, you call it junk food, but that's American food for me. But anyway, if we were in Italy, maybe Italian food would be 15 to 20 times, and maybe they eat Thai food 1 or 2 times per month. Okay, so this is what we call a brand repertoire, which means give a time frame and then count how many times you consume any given product and then look at it by brand. So there's one tricky question to start with. Are you 100% loyal to one brand? So if you eat Thai food 20 times in 1 month, all 20 times you ate at the same restaurant? I find that very hard to believe. And so break it down. Take it through any kind of example you want. How often do you eat within 1 month? And then which brands do you actually consume? Now, I didn't have room to put all the logos, but I just made some up there. So there's pizza 3 times. Maybe you ate 3 different brands, maybe. Or maybe you did eat Pizza Company 3 times. I don't know. But what I'm saying is within your food repertoire of different types of foods, you also have different brands within each subcategory. So within your Thai food, maybe you ate some restaurants multiple times, but you ate at many restaurants. Chinese restaurants, there were only 2 times, and maybe you ate 2 different restaurants. Let's throw Indian in there, and let's say you only ate 1 time, then you do look like you were 100% loyal to that restaurant because you ate 1 out of 1 time. So the same question again, are you 100% loyal to one brand? This is what's interesting to think through. Give it a time frame, pick any kind of category, and then see what you find. Now let's say we extended the time frame from 1 month to 1 year. Would it look different? Think about it. I think you'd probably find a little bit of a different result. You'd find even more brands work their way into your repertoire. So ways to think about this, if we choose to sell Thai food in Thailand, then we're going to have a lot of customers because a lot of people are eating Thai food. But on the other hand, we also have a gazillion competitors because there's a lot of restaurants selling Thai food. If we choose to sell Italian food, people eat Italian food less often, so you don't have as many customers, but you probably don't have quite as many competitors either. And if you really, really differentiate, you say, okay, I'm going to sell African food, Nigerian food. Okay, now you don't have very many competitors, but you probably don't have very many customers either. So this is a really interesting kind of supply and demand and differentiation example. You try to sell cola and you're going to fight with Coke and Pepsi and Est and whoever, AJ, Big Cola, big competitors, big market, not very many brands. You go to non-cola, you move away from those giants, but then you have a whole bunch of smaller competitors. These are important things to think about, especially if you're considering launching your own business. So you look at the market, you say, wow, there's a lot of Thai people in Thailand and they tend to eat Thai food. And so I'm going to open a Thai restaurant and I should have lots of customers. You see, possibly, but you also have a whole lot of competition. And even within your category, so if you were to say, well, no, okay, I'm going to narrow that down. Maybe I'm going to sell Italian food, but keep in mind that people don't eat Italian food nearly as often. And also don't assume that you're going to have 100% loyalty because they may divide their visits among more than one restaurant. In a similar way of thinking, you say, well, no, okay, I'm going to be different. I'm going to do something really different. I'm going to sell pretzels. Okay, so, well, there's not a lot of pretzels. Maybe we have Auntie Anne's, but maybe there's not that many people eating pretzels, and I don't know how often they eat them. So you might kind of differentiate, or you might go niche. Maybe in Thailand, you say, well, fried rice and omelette, kai chia, those are really common foods, and you can find them anywhere. But if you try to make something more distinct, like a fish curry or khao soi or something like that, maybe there's not nearly as many people eating that and not as often. So you may find yourself, a bigger fish in a smaller ocean. Hey, anything can work. I'm just saying I want you to be aware of it and think about it. End of the day, you really should try to conduct some kind of research, even if it's very informal. Try to explore and understand the market, how many people are eating, what type of food, how often do they eat it, how much do they pay. The more you know, the safer it's going to be when you launch your own business. So coming back to my original questions, I said, well, if we are a little more careful about customer loyalty and we say, hey, anybody can do anything they want, then that kind of creates a problem for the concept of segmentation, because somebody who eats Thai food may also eat burgers, and somebody who eats burgers may also eat Italian, and they may also eat fried chicken. So basically everyone's all pooled together, and maybe we don't have to be that concerned about segmentation, except thinking about how often they eat any given food. I'm not so concerned about who they are, but I'm concerned about how many there are. So we go back to our, concept of the marketing funnel, and you say, well, we need awareness and we need interest and we need trial. And of course, we need repeat purchase, but be realistic about it. So are you getting a specific, certain segment of people, or it's just a mix of people? And are they 100% loyal to your brand, or do they actually mix and match? So even if we're within fried chicken, they sometimes eat fried chicken somewhere else. Okay, they come out to eat, fine, but they go to many different restaurants. And then finally, you can generalize my example here. So take a look at other things like coffee shops. Take a look at shampoo or water, ice cream, right? Do you only eat ice cream from one specific brand, one specific shop? Or you like to go to different shops sometimes. So it's a common pattern. I'm just saying, take a look. The more you look at it, the more you start to see it, and you go, oh, wow. So we do say there's some generalizability here. Going back again, that I'm questioning customer loyalty to say it's not as common as people seem to make it sound. And if you do find customer loyalty, most of the time you're going to find very light customers. So maybe 1 out of 1 or 1 out of 2. Wow, they're 100% loyal. They're 50% loyal. You say the longer time frame you give it, the less likely they're going to look very loyal. So think about cell phones, think about cars, over how many years, how many different banks, how many different credit cards, on and on and on. You can change the examples, but you're going to find the same patterns. And again, when you start to carry multiple credit cards and drink from different coffee shops, then whose segment are you? Whose customer are you? Because one customer can go to many different places. So basically, maybe it's not worth thinking like that. You can say, I want to target people who enjoy coffee or fresh coffee. I want to, cater to people who enjoy freshly made cupcakes. Well, fine. But then again, how often do people eat cupcakes? So we have to be a little bit careful in terms of differentiation kind of infringing upon how often people do something, their behavior. So thanks for listening. That was a taste of marketing. I hope it had some interesting tidbits for you and kind of whetted your appetite to learn more. This is John Randall. If you have time and interest, check out our master's programs if you haven't already, or even our PhD programs. Thanks and good luck. Keep learning.